Anthony, it's been a busy week for your guy, Darren Waller. Retirement rumors, as it seems like next week is going to be when he calls it a career, and also released the song of the summer. So a big week for him.
The song of the summer. That might not be how I would choose to describe it, but I'm glad you're keen on it. Drop your rating out of 10 on the song. Got to hear it now.
Yeah, 887. The song was an absolute banger. Music video was fantastic too. Rivals Le'Veon Bell for best former football player who to release music.
I can't say that I am in lockstep agreement with you, but I'm glad you found so much enjoyment in the song and the terrible music video that he put out. But yeah, Darren Waller probably retiring next week, reported this morning by Jordan Rannon and Adam Schefter of ESPN. They said that they got word today that the New York Giants, people within the building, do expect his retirement, and they expect it next week before minicamp. So Darren Waller likely on his way out, and that is going to have pretty big implications on the Giants' salary cap space because it is post June 1st, which will result in an $11.6 million cap savings for the New York Giants, which they could definitely take and reinvest into this roster or roll it into the regular season and into next season if they so choose. But Waller's retirement does leave a little bit of a hole in the offensive lineup. No starting tight end officially. Now they're going to have to hope that Daniel Bellinger or Theo Johnson develop into that role. And I do have faith in them, but there are question marks in those young guys taking over. But I think that the extra cap space could be a really big benefit here for the Giants.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, as you mentioned, it was what 11.6 in cap savings, and then even over the next couple of years, you save a significant chunk of cap space there. By having Darren Waller retire, you lose him, as Tony chimes in and says, Giants finally get a number one weapon and lose a number two weapon. Is that your feeling on Waller? Do you think he would have been the number two option in this offense had he not retired?
I think most likely he would have, because even though Darren Waller disappointed last year, we wanted him to step in, be a 1,000-yard receiver, be the dynamic weapon that transforms the offense. That didn't happen due to injuries. However, he did finish second on the team in receiving yards and did play really well when he was healthy. He was a very reliable tight end receiver for this Giants team. So wasn't the phenomenal game-breaking potential Pro Bowl talent that we wanted him to be. Injuries played a huge role in that, but was still a very reliable receiver. So with Malik Neighbors in the lineup, potentially going for over 1,000 yards this year and hopefully getting like 120 targets, you could see a world where Waller would have been the number two guy, gotten half of those targets, half of that yardage, but that's still very valuable to have a tight end put up 550 yards and a couple touchdowns, hopefully. So it is a shame that Waller is not fully committed to football and is not going to be back with the team next season. But I do have faith in guys like Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger. So I'm hoping that they can make up the difference with Waller leading the lineup. Plus, with no Waller in the lineup, maybe this leads to expanded roles for some of these other receivers. Wandale underneath and in the middle of the field where Darren Waller usually operates, and hopefully open things up for Jalen Hyatt to get more targets and play a larger role this season, as I mentioned earlier when talking about Brian Dable's fondness of Hyatt. So opens things up, but I do think it is a more underrated loss. Giants fans maybe not realizing the scope of the loss of Darren Waller.
Yeah, we'll get into what the Giants can do with that newfound cap space in a moment, but wanted to toss this one up from Johnny. Ant Waller needed to retire after that video. I died slowly while watching that. The chick in the video didn't even look like Plum. LOL. Ant, what is your team doing? Haha.
I don't know what my team is doing anymore, to be completely honest. It seems like every week, every month, every day, there is a reason to be embarrassed by the New York Giants. This month, it's this ridiculous video from Darren Waller. Last month, it was the ugliest uniforms of all time. So every month, somehow, some way, Giants fans get kicked while we're down, and Waller is not making that any better. What I will say, though, for Darren Waller, clearly going through a mental health crisis, not dealing well with the divorce from his wife. I understand all that. So I respect him for taking his time to make this decision and wish the best for him. But that music video was not it. That was not the way that he should have projected his feelings to the world, in my opinion. Very messy video, very bad song with way too much auto-tune. I don't know what my team is doing anymore. It is just turning into a circus show, and I wonder what kind of clarification we'll get on Darren Waller from the upcoming Hard Knocks that comes out in just under a month here.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe we'll get some updates there. But as we said, this creates some cap space for the New York Giants. So are you spending that money or just rolling that over?
I'm probably spending some of that money, not all of it. I'm not gonna go ahead and blow the 11 million on a marquee signing ahead of training camp, nothing like that. But there are positions of need for depth on this team. I know last week we kind of talked about the Giants roster ranking. I think it was 31st according to PFF. And I mentioned that there are holes in the starting lineup. Like there are talented players in starting positions, but that's not a solidified position with those guys, right? Like CB2, for example. We like Cordell Fly. We like Nick McLeod. Are either of those guys established quality veteran players? No. So could you add a quality veteran player to be an established starter there? Probably, now that you have an almost 12 million extra dollars in your piggy bank. So I think that there is room to improve this roster in the starting lineup and of course in the depth areas. I mean, the Giants could use more depth at nearly every single position. So I would use some of that money, not all of it. You definitely need some insurance money going into the regular season. Giants should know that last year, having to pick up Justin Pugh off the couch. Keep some money in the piggy bank, save that for the regular season. But this roster does have room for improvement. So I would try and target at least one player that can probably bolster your lineup.
Yeah, I think you could bring someone in on a 1-year deal to just, as you said, to help bolster the lineup for the short term and not really impact your long term future cap space. As you said, like corner is one that really jumps out because I don't know what the plan is at CB2. I guess it's going to be a competition as of right now in training camp, but I don't feel great about that spot for the Giants. That's one that, that really jumps out. Do you spend money at tight end, or are you good just letting the two guys that you have, in the rookie and Daniel Bellinger kind of battle things out there?
Yeah, last I checked, that veteran tight end market is very thin. I think Logan Thomas, the only guy that stands out as a potential player who could contribute. But at that point, give me Daniel Bellinger, give me Theo Johnson. I really like the talent of Theo Johnson. He's a very similar player in playing style to Darren Waller. So I'm hoping that the Giants can kind of plug him into that role, not have to change the playbook too much. And hopefully he goes out there and develops into a solid player. But also, I like Daniel Bellinger, man. I thought that he played really well as a rookie. I was very disappointed with the role that he was forced into playing last season, with, of course, Waller being on this roster. He wasn't able to move into a starting position. But then when he was on the field, because of how bad the Giants' offensive line was, Bellinger was basically playing as a third offensive tackle, chipping and helping on the pass protection unit. So I'd like to see Bellinger actually play some tight end this year, not offensive line. I'd like to see him go out there, catch some passes. He had 3 touchdowns as a rookie. He had 0 last season. Didn't make a whole lot of sense the way that they used him for me, but hopefully with an improved offensive line and more opportunities with Waller retiring, the Giants can go ahead and carve out a larger role for Bellinger and Theo Johnson.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that too because like if you're just had an injury prone tight end in Darren Waller, signing Logan Thomas, like I don't know if that really solves anything for you this year. Again, if you are going to spend the money, I think corner would be the spot to do it. But if they just want to roll over that cap space and, maybe make an addition in season or just save it, I think that's a way to go as well.